Welcome to the Midnight Mews, and today I'll be talking about Star Wars. Well, Star Wars fandom. I call this one Attack of the Toxic Gatekeepers. So, anyone who knows me knows I love Star Wars. I just wish I liked Star Wars fans as much as I like Star Wars itself. I've said this many times, but the difference between a Star Wars fan and a normal person is that a normal person likes Star Wars. Okay, some background. The first Star Wars film was released on May 25th, 1977. I was 3.5 years old at the time, and it's the first movie I really remember seeing in the theaters. Okay, I have a few random flashes of various Disney movies, but I have no idea where or when I saw them. With Star Wars, I have solid memories of seeing it multiple times, both in the drive-in and in traditional theaters. When Empire Strikes Back came out in 1980, I was 6. I remember looking at the logo and noticing the title was actually Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back. The title made me realize that Star Wars was both the title of the series and the title of the first movie. Well, that just wouldn't do. I made it my mission to find out what the real name of the first Star Wars movie was. When Star Wars was re-released in the theaters in 1981, they added A New Hope to the opening crawl. Apparently George Lucas had wanted the original 1977 release to have the subtitle, but Fox wouldn't let him because they thought it would be too confusing. My friends and I called it A New Hope from that point on. It was just clearer. You didn't have to wonder if the other person was talking about the series or that specific movie. These days, there's a lot of debate over what makes someone a true Star Wars fan. I detest this sort of gatekeeping. I'll admit, I've had gatekeeper attitudes of my own in the past, but I was wrong to do so. You are a Star Wars fan if you say you are a Star Wars fan, end of story. These gatekeepers say things like, you're not a true Star Wars fan if you like the prequels. But they also don't like the newest movies because they pander to the social justice warriors or whatever. You know, because they have main characters that aren't white males. The nerve of them. Some true Star Wars fans even hate Return of the Jedi because it has Ewoks in it. Apparently liking something cute threatens their masculinity. They also don't like Rogue One because it has a female lead, and they don't like Solo because it disagrees with their fanfiction. Right now, as of this video, there are 10 live-action theatrical Star Wars movies, and the so-called true fans only like 2 of them. Can you think of any other franchise on the planet where you're only allowed to like 20% of the series to be a true fan? Here's a tip. A so-called true fan of anything probably enjoys more than 20% of the content. Of course, true Star Wars fans also can't like the special editions either, which is crazy because you can't even buy the original editions anymore. Think about that for a moment. These toxic fanboys, the ones who consider themselves the only true fans of the Star Wars franchise, only like 2 of the movies, and the 2 movies they like aren't even available to buy. What a surefire way to keep new people from joining the fandom. Sure, I wish they released the original versions on Blu-ray just as much as anyone, but I'm not going to use it as an excuse to ostracize potential fans. But the one that really sticks in my craw is the idea that real Star Wars fans never call the first one A New Hope, they just call it Star Wars. For some reason, they associate A New Hope with the special editions and the prequels, despite it being the official subtitle since 1981. These so-called true fans apparently never noticed the subtitle until then. I'm sorry, but again, I saw the original in the theaters, and I've been calling it by its true name since 1981. Are you really going to say I'm not a real Star Wars fan? I repeat, a bunch of 7-year-olds knew that it was called A New Hope way back in 1981. If you don't think it's called A New Hope, you're dumber than a 7-year-old. So, I'm going to make my own list of what makes a real Star Wars fan. Number 1, a true Star Wars fan doesn't accuse others of not being a real Star Wars fan. Seriously, don't police your fandom. What do you even gain from that? Why do you want fewer friends? Number 2, if you say you're a real Star Wars fan, you're a real Star Wars fan. Seriously, you have nothing to prove. You shouldn't have to show an ID card. Number 3, you can like the unpopular Star Wars movies and still be a Star Wars fan. Everybody's different. Let people enjoy things. Number 4, you don't have to have memorized every line to be a real Star Wars fan. In every fandom, there are hardcore fans who think they're better than the casual fans. For some reason, they think knowing the Rancor Keeper's real name makes them smarter people. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. Number 5, you don't have to have seen the original movie in the theater to be a real Star Wars fan. This is a big one, because I know several young people who grew up on the prequels, and there's another generation right now growing up on Rey and Finn, and I dream of a future where all these generations can have fun and talk Star Wars together. But so many of the people my age don't seem to want newcomers to the fandom. Number 6, you don't have to have read all the comics, played every video game, or know obscure bits of trivia to be a true Star Wars fan. Some people only care about the movies, some only read the comics, some only play the video games, and some are just in it for the cosplay. And that's okay! Let people enjoy things the way they want to enjoy them. If you want to introduce someone to a side of the fandom that they haven't tried yet, great! But don't dismiss them just because they don't know Jango Fett's origin story. Number 7. This should go without saying, but you can be any age, race, or sex and still be a real Star Wars fan. When I was in high school, I really wished more girls were into Star Wars. today, there actually are more girls into Star Wars, and yet some boys are trying to push them back out. It's crazy. You don't know how good you have it, kids. Number 8. You can like Ewoks, Porgs, Rose Tico, and yes, even Jar Jar Binks and still be a real Star Wars fan. Honestly, I don't care what aspects of Star Wars made you a fan. If you're in it for the cute creatures, great. If you're in it for the badass bounty hunters, that's cool too. I promise we'll find some common ground to talk about. And that's it. I may be focusing on Star Wars here, but the above rules really can be applied to any fandom. Always remember, being a fan is about liking things, not disliking things. And speaking of liking things, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to click like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching.